a beauty blogger whose body continuously sprouts plants and blooms flowers, the man with a pet carrier backpack who appeared at the station precisely at 3:30 a.m., the vending machine that could actually eat people alive, the plastic surgery woman targeting beautiful girls. How many terrifying stories have unfolded within this small subway station? One by one, these urban legends, long buried by time, gradually begin to reveal their mysterious truth. Da-kyeong was a vlogger with very low views, and in order to revive her lifeless channel, she went to the station master to ask about the station's urban legends. But the moment the station master learned who she was, he told her to go back where she came from, saying he despised making money off other people's suffering. Fortunately, Da-kyeong had already come prepared. This station master didn't care for fame or fortune, but he was an absolute alcoholic, and Da-kyeong's grandfather ran a liquor business in Jeonju, so her family had no shortage of fine wine. The station master was easily bribed, but he agreed to tell only one story. One late night, a young man named Horrifying was sprawled out drunk on the subway. A sudden subway accident caused an emergency stop and he passed out right there on the floor. Thankfully, a nearby passenger helped him up. Dazed, Horrifying sat on a seat and unintentionally spotted a long-haired woman repeatedly banging her forehead against the train door. He didn't think much of it, and when the train reached the station, he rushed straight to a convenience store to grab a black coffee to sober up. But the clerk was glued to her phone and couldn't find the coffee for ages. Horrifying mocked her, saying she wasn't illiterate, so why was finding coffee so difficult? Yet when he paid, he also pulled out the wrong bank card. He gave an awkward laugh, walked out, and muttered under his breath about how empty-headed that clerk was. He took a gulp of coffee and went back to the subway to transfer trains, only to see that same woman slamming into the door again. As the other passengers exited the train, he noticed her banging even harder, so he quickly slipped into another car, mumbling a few curses about her under his breath. Just then, his mother called. He tried his best to keep his voice steady so she wouldn't hear that he'd been drinking, but his mother clearly knew his nature and was about to scold him when she suddenly stopped mid-sentence. Puzzled, Horrifying glanced at his phone and saw she had sent him a video. In the video, that familiar long-haired woman was standing outside the subway car, still banging her head against the door. A chill ran down his spine. When he turned to look, the old man across from him had also started banging his head. Meanwhile, the woman had now appeared outside this car as well. At that moment, the train lights suddenly went out. Horrifying grabbed his phone to check around, only to find both of them had vanished. Just as he was about to breathe a sigh of relief, the woman appeared again, slamming into the door even harder, until she suddenly knocked her own head off. The fallen head rolled to Horrifying's feet, frightening him into turning and running, but the headless woman quickly gave chase. The next second, Horrifying jolted awake from the nightmare, drenched in sweat. When he looked around, there was no long-haired woman, only the old man still sitting in the corner. The announcement said the next stop was Gwanglim Station. Without hesitation, Horrifying got off the train and bumped into a man wearing a hat. He laughed at himself. Just a nightmare, why get so scared? But after taking only a few steps, he saw that the exit route he had just come down had already been closed due to an accident. Then came the familiar banging sound. He turned, and there she was. Slowly, he twisted his neck, but the woman had already appeared right behind him and shoved him into the tunnel. No woman appeared on the surveillance footage, and the case was ruled a suicide. At this point, the station master had had his fill of liquor and told Da-kyeong to leave. After returning to her workplace, Da-kyeong shared her idea for the Gwanglim Station suicide story with her PD Woo-jin. Just then, Hye-jin, the host of the beauty channel, walked over and mockingly said that Da-kyeong should switch to producing other types of shows, because horror content was already outdated and gloomy material would only make her lose more followers. Determined to make everyone see her in a new light, Da-kyeong brought another jug of fine wine to the station master, asking if he had a story even more thrilling than the Gwanglim Station one. The station master deflected, saying he had seen her channel and that it didn't even get 100 views. This made Da-kyeong feel a pang of sadness. At its peak, her channel could reach around 100,000 views, but Korea was small, and urban legends had long been dug dry by countless vloggers, leaving few stories worth telling. Many people had already quit, but Da-kyeong refused to give up. Moved by her passion, the station master finally agreed to tell a second story. Once, there was a student who endured extreme pain in order to gain what she didn't naturally have. She spent a fortune on full facial plastic surgery, but on the train she saw a naturally beautiful girl named Miju. Perhaps the plastic surgery woman's stare was too intense, and Miju got up to avoid her gaze. At this moment, she ran into her former cram school teacher. She had always liked him, and just as she was about to ask about his recent life, his girlfriend got on the train and wrapped her arm affectionately around his. Miju felt a lump in her throat, made an excuse to leave the couple, and tried to digest the heartbreak alone. After getting off the train, she kept feeling like someone was following her, but when she turned, there was no one suspicious. Lost in thought, she stepped onto the escalator, the walls lined with plastic surgery ads. While waiting to transfer trains, she found the plastic surgery woman standing beside her, complimenting her nose. Though Miju found it odd, she politely thanked her, only for the woman to keep repeating the same compliment. Uneasy, Miju quickly moved to another car, instinctively drawing near other passengers. When she turned her head, the plastic surgery woman was gone. However, the familiar figure was reflected in the glass door. It turned out she had been hiding just around the corner. Seeing the plastic surgery woman getting closer and closer while everyone around acted as if they couldn't see her, Miju pulled out her phone to record the scene, only to realize the camera couldn't capture her at all. At that moment, the liquid in her hand spilled onto the floor, producing white smoke from its strong corrosive reaction. Startled, Miju bolted, racing into the underground parking lot, surrounded on all sides by billboards for plastic surgery. Just then, the plastic surgery woman chased after her again, and Miju darted into a nearby restroom, locking the door before dialing the police. The police told her to give the exact address and then describe the woman's features. Miju was just about to describe her in detail when she suddenly realized something. She had only said a lunatic was chasing her, so how did the officer know it was a woman? Horrified, she slowly raised her head to see the cup of acid being lifted over the top of the stall. The plastic surgery woman then leaned in, yet her arm remained high above, still holding the cup. Finally, the entire cup of acid was poured onto Miju's face. The station master's story ended there. Later, Da-kyeong went to Gwanglim Station, the site of the plastic surgery woman incident, to gather material and edited the footage overnight. While reviewing it, she spotted a faint shadow inside a vending machine. In any case, the views for this episode finally climbed again, so Da-kyeong went to thank the station master and to hear his third story. For most people, the subway was just a means of transportation, but for some homeless people, the station was a shelter from the wind and rain. This man's beginnings weren't bad, just an ordinary office worker like anyone else. No one expected that he would gradually lose everything, first his respectable job, then his family, and then his self-control. His life kept falling until there was no lower point to reach. The money he had left wasn't even enough for a packet of instant noodles, so he would sometimes dig through the coin slots of vending machines or rummage through trash bins. On lucky days, he could still find a few coins. One day, the homeless man found a strange red coin. He had no idea what it was, so he slipped it into his pocket for the time being. But in the restroom, a low-life thug robbed him of all his coins. Not recognizing the red coin, the thug tossed it onto the floor and left. Seething with frustration, the homeless man saw that the opposite platform held only one man in a suit, so he started shouting loudly in the deserted late-night station. After all, no one was going to stop him. That was when he noticed a strange red vending machine, and its payment slot displayed the same type of coin he had found. Overjoyed, he rushed over, inserted the coin, and got a red, label-less can of drink. When he pulled the tab, it contained no liquid at all. Meanwhile, the man across the platform had vanished, leaving only a suit and 2 red coins on the ground. Taking the suit to the restroom, the homeless man rummaged through its pockets and indeed found a wallet. He changed into the suit and used the cash to buy himself dinner. With only a few coins left, he fought the urge to buy alcohol and returned to the station. Clutching the 2 newly found red coins, he decided to try his luck again. Maybe this suit really was connected to the vending machine. When he retrieved a second can, the same thug appeared to rob him again. Panicked, he yanked the tab open right in the thug's face. The thug's legs gave out, and he collapsed to his knees before vanishing on the spot, leaving behind only his clothes. Just as the homeless man was still puzzled, he saw the thug, completely naked, trapped inside the vending machine. Beside the clothes lay 3 more red coins, and the thug disappeared from inside the machine. Though this defied all reason, the homeless man didn't care, as long as it brought him money. Over the next few days, he repeated the process and made plenty of cash every day. Before long, he became addicted to the thrill of easy money, dressing more sharply and spending without care. When he visited convenience stores, he didn't even bother taking change. After all, the more people who disappeared, the more red coins appeared, and he'd never run out of money. With this endless supply, his drinking habit roared back. One day, stumbling drunk into the station, he spotted a long-haired man at the red vending machine. The next moment, he sobered up halfway in shock. The man was none other than himself the first time he used the machine. It turned out that the suited man he'd seen that night had been another version of himself. Before he could think, the other him popped the tab. In an instant, the homeless man was trapped inside the vending machine, and moments later, he vanished without a trace, leaving only an ownerless suit on the floor. When the station master finished his third story, he turned to see that Da-kyeong had already fallen asleep. She was happily dreaming that her channel's popularity was rising, and dreaming that Woo-jin had finally confessed to her, but dreams always come to an end. She woke up at her desk to find Woo-jin flirting with Hee-jin. The woman deliberately leaned closer to Woo-jin when she caught Da-kyeong's gaze, clearly a provocation. As if romantic disappointment wasn't enough, Hee-jin's follower count was miles ahead of hers, a fact Da-kyeong could hardly stomach. Full of complaints, she went to the station master to vent, having clearly made the subway office her base of operations. After hearing her out, the station master told her that people always crave what they don't have. Sometimes looking at what you already possess can bring happiness, while endlessly chasing what you lack might cost you everything. He added that he was gravely ill and didn't have much time left, so she might as well stop coming. Da-kyeong said goodbye and prepared to head back to her company, only to find no one there today. As her unease grew, the lights suddenly came on. It turned out her subscriber count had skyrocketed, and the company had prepared a surprise party just for her. Overjoyed, she scrolled through the fan comments one by one until she noticed a strange user insisting that she take the videos down. Sensing a potential lead, she messaged the user and arranged to meet at a nearby cafe. Before long, a woman in sunglasses came in and sat across from her, looking agitated. The woman said she had encountered something strange at the Gwanglim Station convenience store, tied to the Gwanglim cult that had vanished decades ago. The woman frantically explained Gwanglim Station was built atop the cult's former chapel, causing recurring supernatural events. Then she removed her sunglasses, revealing a right eye that had been badly injured. Moments later, the woman fled in fear. Da-kyeong couldn't resist searching for the Gwanglim cult online. She learned that 50 years ago, a mass suicide had taken place at Gwanglim Church, with as many as 40 deaths. The followers believed it was a special ritual to achieve eternal continuation. If it had been someone else, they might have thought she was exaggerating, but Da-kyeong believed that some things do exist. But now that her account had finally bounced back, she really couldn't bear to take down all her videos. Just as Da-kyeong was hesitating, the sound of a conversation suddenly came from nearby. She cautiously approached and saw Woo-jin being intimate with Hee-jin. Da-kyeong instantly burned with anger. Woo-jin had always done things that gave her the wrong idea, and only now did she realize she was just one of the many in his pond. At that moment, Woo-jin invited Da-kyeong to have dinner with him.
어제 저녁에 같이 가려고 했는데 제가 저녁에 외근이어서.
Seeing him lie without a change in expression, Da-kyeong clenched the notebook in her hand and said bluntly that having dinner with someone like him was a complete waste of time. That evening, Da-kyeong went back to see the station master. No matter how dark his expression grew, she kept pestering him to tell her another story. The station master was puzzled, asking if her subscribers weren't already over 1 million, and if even that couldn't satisfy her. But Da-kyeong became angry, saying she needed new stories to keep those followers. Glancing at the blood-stained tissues on the table, she said venomously that since he wouldn't be alive for much longer, he might as well tell her every story he knew before he died, so he could at least do one good deed. The station master gave a bitter smile and said he would tell her a story about someone very much like her. The two of them were exactly the same, living only for other people's attention. That girl was beauty vlogger Hye-jin, whose charm and eloquence had earned her many followers. One day, while riding the subway, Hee-jin grabbed a handrail and got a palm full of some strange golden substance. She quickly pulled out a tissue to wipe it clean, but because of the delay, she missed her stop. When she arrived at the office, she saw Woo-jin talking to Da-kyeong. Wanting to ruin their friendly atmosphere, she made the remark suggesting Da-kyeong should change careers. Later, Woo-jin came to tell Hye-jin not to be too harsh with Da-kyeong. Hye-jin feigned innocence, saying that colleagues motivating each other was for Da-kyeong's own good. But as soon as she finished speaking, her nose began to bleed. She went to the restroom to clean up and noticed strange red spots on her palm. She immediately went to the hospital, where the doctor asked if she had touched anything dirty recently. Hye-jin instantly thought of the subway handrail. The doctor prescribed her some medicine and told her to continue monitoring her symptoms. That evening, Hye-jin took the subway home as usual. Just outside the station, she ran into Da-kyeong and couldn't resist approaching to make her presence known. She always enjoyed mocking vloggers with fewer subscribers. Da-kyeong, on the other hand, just wanted to get rid of her as soon as possible. In the middle of speaking, Hye-jin's nose suddenly gushed blood, and she rushed to the restroom to clean up. But when she looked at her palm, she found it covered with black holes like a shower head. The next second, Hee-jin woke up from a nightmare and quickly checked her palm. Fortunately, it didn't look as horrifying as in her dream. Outside, everyone was celebrating Da-kyeong's 1,000,000 subscribers. Hee-jin felt a wave of resentment. Why should that girl so easily take away everyone's attention? That evening at the subway station, her nose started bleeding again, and this time, the pits on her palm were real. Frightened, she got off at the nearest stop and ran to the restroom to check, only to find the holes had spread all over her body, even along the side of her neck. If this continued, it would soon spread to her face. Panicked, Hye-jin dug out her ointment, but then someone outside knocked on the door, asking if she was Hye-jin. Irritated, she told them to go away. But when she looked down, tiny saplings were sprouting from the pits in her skin, quickly spreading to her face. In the end, Hye-jin died inside the toilet stall, her body covered in blooming flowers. Da-kyeong listened to the story and assumed the station master was just trying to scare her. Changing the subject, she asked if he knew the story of the Gwanglim cult. Records said the followers had committed suicide together for the immortality of their leader, and some people still believed the leader was alive. Wanting to interview members of the Gwanglim cult, Da-kyeong asked if the station master had any connections. Meanwhile, a detective from the police station came to her company to find her, but she was out gathering material. The scene shifted to Da-kyeong standing in an empty subway station. The station master had told her that at 3:34 on Friday, a train would arrive, and if you boarded it, you could meet the person you wanted to see. Nervously, she waited on the platform when at 3:30, the sound of a cat meowing rang out. Puzzled, Da-kyeong was about to investigate when the lights overhead suddenly came on, revealing a man with a pet carrier backpack sitting nearby, playing on his phone. The next moment, the station announcement began, but the man didn't even look up. Only the carrier gave off a piercing, mournful cry. As soon as the train arrived, Da-kyeong quickly boarded and quietly turned her head to glance at the man, but he was still sitting on the bench, playing with his phone. Then the man finally lifted his head and locked his gaze firmly on her. Unable to avoid him, Da-kyeong hastily stood up, intending to move to another carriage, but the man followed her. She quickened her pace until the lights in the car suddenly went out. She hastily turned on her phone's flashlight to check her surroundings, only to see the man standing a short distance away with his back to her. The next moment, his head fell into the pet carrier backpack, and his headless body staggered toward her. Da-kyeong let out a terrified scream and bolted, but in that critical moment, the train doors wouldn't open. Luckily, the subway suddenly made an emergency stop, and Da-kyeong lunged out the door. Fortunately, the man didn't follow her. Before she could catch her breath, she realized something was wrong with her surroundings. The stairwell was old and peeling, as if abandoned for years, its darkness concealing whatever might be inside. Then a dilapidated train pulled in with a clatter, its doors creaking open. On the ground lay a strangely shaped walkie-talkie. The scene cut to Woo-jin asking the police why they were looking for Da-kyeong. The detective said it was because Da-kyeong had claimed in her video to have interviewed the station master. But the subway's actual station master was not the man Da-kyeong had interviewed. The man she spoke with had been missing for 3 years. Meanwhile, Da-kyeong picked up the crackling walkie-talkie and the station master's voice came through. He had once been just an ordinary employee at the subway station, working endless night shifts. One night, he saw someone wandering in the tunnel after hours and told the young security guard to go check it out. That guard was the man with the pet carrier backpack, a cat lover in a hurry to feed strays, insisting there couldn't possibly be anyone there at this hour. The station master replied that it was better to be safe than sorry. After all, someone had tried to film a video down there last time. The guard reluctantly grabbed his flashlight and went to investigate. The dark subway tunnel stretched endlessly with not a soul in sight, but he pressed on. While the station master dozed in front of the monitors, time slipped by. When he radioed the guard to ask if he'd found anything, the man replied that he'd seen nothing. Swearing he had truly seen someone, the station master urged him to look deeper. No sooner had he spoken than one of the monitors flickered. He immediately told the guard to retrace his steps and check again, but the walkie-talkie fell silent. The station master had no choice but to enter the tunnel himself. Suddenly, a train behind him lit up with red lights. Puzzled, he climbed aboard to take a look. Then a hand slapped against the outside of the window, making him fall to the ground in fright. From the front of the train came scratching noises. When he went to open the cab door, there was no one inside. The next instant, the train suddenly started moving, as if an invisible conductor was operating it. Unable to stop it, the station master desperately yanked at the cab door. But outside, the scenery had already changed. Bloody writing covered the windows and countless hands slapped at the glass. The station master fought to reach the emergency brake, finally halting the train. The blood and hands vanished, yet the doors still wouldn't open. Just as he was growing desperate, the guard's voice came through the walkie-talkie, and the station master immediately picked it up to call for help, saying he was trapped inside the train and couldn't get out. The voice cut in and out, but one sentence came through clearly. "I see you." The station master looked out the window and indeed saw the guard in the distance. But within seconds, he realized someone was holding the guard's severed head. Before he could react, the train started moving again, and he was thrown to the ground. This time, he never made it out. Now it was Da-kyeong who was trapped. From outside, the station master laughed and told her, "Didn't you want to meet the bishop? This train will take you to him." As soon as he finished speaking, the train started moving. Da-kyeong saw another version of herself outside the window. From this, it was clear that the station master outside was not the real one, and once they were trapped in the train, a replacement would appear outside. That's where the film ended. A midnight appetizer of urban legends, a lighter watch. It wasn't a lavish, big-budget production, but the variety of stories and the carefully crafted atmosphere were still quite good. If you're interested, you can check out the original film. Alright, that's all for today, and I'll see you in the next episode.